morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy to have the opportunity of saying a very good morning to everyone joining in EPALE. We are here in this platform to have a very interesting and on-the-point conversation on a topic quite relevant in the year of skills and within the policy that the European Commission is developing to support adult education and to support especially basic skills. Yours truly, Diana Huber. I'm representing the European Basic Skills Network. I come from Timișoara, Romania, and I work for Center for Promoting Lifelong Learning. We are happy to have this opportunity to be hosted by EPALE, and we extend a great thanks to the EPALE team for all the technical support and everything that goes behind the scenes to have this amazing platform. Do join and share your point of view live with questions we will be addressing in this discussion. With me here we have three colleagues that are from different parts of Europe, from different perspectives, all joined in the same point of view that we would like to show to you how we are supported by Pact for Skills and how our work with basic skills and with adult education is very much enhanced and made more visible with this support. We have Miguel from DG Employment representing and leading the teams that are implementing Pact for Skills. So he is the perfect person to ask questions on this topic. Miguel is seconded national expert from Spain. He is trained as an economist and specialized in the labor market relations. So it's an in-depth knowledge of the employer-employee relation and everything that is going on in that part of the world where adult education and basic skills has a very, very important role. Then we have Knut from Germany, from Baden-Württemberg, representing the Ministry of Education and representing a very special place where adult education meets labor market as a fine example on how basic skills are the bedrock and are relevant for increasing opportunities for adults to have a job, but also increasing opportunities for employers to create solid and sustainable jobs. And you will see why sustainable is a keyword in the context of Knut's presentation. And last but not least, we have Vasi. Vasi comes from Bukovina Institute from east part of Romania, doing amazing work and also being supported by Pact for Skills, doing amazing work with young adults. And in that category that we call it NEET, young adults that are in difficulty of finding a job, in finding contact with the employer, in finding meaning and reason to rejoin education, to train, and to be active citizens. And VAS is doing an amazing work also in creating the environment for an active citizenship of all the members of their local communities. And please take note that Vasi has wonderful artwork behind him. He's also an excellent curator, and the art that is behind is created by a team of his clients, let's say. And Vasi will have the opportunity to tell us more about that. We are on a bit of a time constraint, which is good because that will keep us sharp and focused. So without any further ado, I will give the floor to Miguel to present a bit his perspective and the perspective of Pact for Skills team in the work that they do. And then we will have the opportunity to ask a couple of questions, also from the questions that you, the participants, are writing in the platform, but also from Knut and Vasi and myself as users and beneficiaries of Pact for Skill. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you for having me here. It's really a pleasure, and I hope this can be of interest to all of the participants and the Pale community. Indeed, first let me start by saying that you may be aware that we are in the middle of the European Parliament with the month of December, but rather run until May. It is from Europe Day to Europe Day. So it is very timely that we have this discussion today on how the Pact can help the EPALE community and people interested in developing basic skills in developing their projects. Indeed, the starting point for the Pact, as it is for the whole skills agenda of the European Union, proposed by the European Commission in July 2020, is that we need to step up our efforts for up and reskilling, for development of skills. We have very ambitious targets for 2030 in the Action Plan for the European Pillar of Social Rights. And the starting point is that we cannot do this working in silos, flying solo, or working in isolation. We need to work together. We need to share forces, to join forces, and to we understand the best way to do this is to work in partnerships, to cooperate in a stable base with long-term perspective. So the Pact is our initiative to mobilize stakeholders and to help them build partnerships for up and reskilling with a very clear focus: implementing, uh, taking action with impact on the ground. That is helping real people with their challenges for up and reskilling. And that includes all types of people of working age. And this is the focus for the Pact, and also including those most vulnerable and those that need more help, including the development of basic skills. The Pact is therefore a call for commitment of all relevant stakeholders, and the list is very long. This is an illustration only of the different types of stakeholders that we need to engage, to commit, and to take specific action for up and reskilling. This needs to be a joint endeavor, otherwise it won't succeed. How does it work? Instrument. Therefore, it has no funding attached directly attached, deal of flexibility. The Pact is intended to help stakeholders work together in different shapes and formats at different levels. First, at EU level, we are building partnerships of large scale of what we call large scale partnerships that are partnerships of EU dimension that bring together all of the stakeholders along the value chains of key sectors in the European Union. And there are already 20 of those partnerships working. But the second level where we want to work, and we are now focusing, is on local and regional level, because there is where we can really be more effective addressing the needs of the labor market, uh, building effective partnerships, and also matching with the aspirations of people that want to get better job or re-enter the labor market, for example. This is where we are now currently working with regional players, public authorities, but not only, other industry players, for example, industry clusters or other third sector organizations, partnerships where they bring together other stakeholders, a diverse bunch of stakeholders that can work together for this implementation of skilling actions. Um, and then are individual members. We are building these partnerships working with different types of organizations, over 1,500 already, from all sectors, all member states, all different types of stakeholders that are committed and want to work with others for this with this objective. And the Pact is already delivering. An important feature of the pact is that we monitor the progress of all the stakeholders committed to the pact. They delivered opportunities for up and reskilling to 2 million people. And they also developed over 15,000 training programs, or developed or updated programs, and joined forces with thousands of other stakeholders to build this action for up and reskilling. They are part of to build this action for up and reskilling, and also invested over 160 million euros over the year for this. So this is what the pact helps stakeholders to do, but it also gives them support for mutual learning. There's a lot of opportunities to learn from what others are doing uh, in terms of up and reskilling, and share that and learn from that, and get inspiration. That's why we offer opportunities for instruments for up and reskilling, about the framework for skills policies, and we also provide networking opportunities and site for mutual learning. This is what the pact has to offer to all stakeholders that are willing to take one step further their commitment for up and reskilling. There's a lot of practicalities about how to build partnerships or get join the pact. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel, for this quick run. Pact for Skill is a very complex policy initiative, but you actually did a great job in summarizing this. All of us are beneficiaries and active members in Pact for Skills, and it's very interesting what you said, that it is about building partnerships in a diverse way, thinking outside of the box. I come from the criminal correctional justice system, and Pact for Skills has supported the projects that I coordinated with dissemination, with putting us in contact with other people in career guidance, for example. And this is going to do so with the follow-up projects that we have just been granted in setting up centers of vocational excellence for correctional staff. So it doesn't mean that you need to be on a particular sector to access. We have VASI that is cross-sectorial but focused on a target group. We have Knut that is focusing on one sector but has a whole ecosystem joining. So Pact for Skills is a versatile networking instrument that holds us liable and responsible to monitor and to report our contribution to the European policies in reskilling and upskilling, but much more than that, in setting the stage with focusing on basic skills, which are the bedrock of any vocational training and any development that we have. Before going further with the questions, because we also have some questions from our participants in the EPALE platform and also from the colleagues, I would like to take the opportunity of the partnership description to say that EBSN is also a partnership like this, and I'm here in Valladolid now, thanks to an amazing member of EBSN, um, the Faculty of Educational Sciences in the University of Valladolid. And I'm going to extend greetings for the team. They are also doing amazing work in putting together the ecosystem for supporting the validation of competencies, which is again a thing highly important and highly promoted by the Pact for Skills. So we don't only implement, we also monitor, and then we also validate, which is something of paramount relevance for the work that we do in projects and in the overall public policy. In the platform, we had a question from one of our participants, which somehow resonates with the question that I wanted to ask. A question from Liga about how is practically Pact for Skills supporting. She was saying an NGO. I'm thinking a bit more as the whole sector of adult education and the sector of basic skills, which is an economical sector in itself. How does Pact for Skills practically support our initiatives and makes them a bit more visible.
Indeed, visibility is something that the Pact can provide, and we are working a lot on that. The Pact is, as I said, a community for mutual learning, and we are very keen on sharing the practices and experiences of all our members and beyond with others that can, for which it can be an inspiration. Therefore, all those that are convinced that they are doing something that could be replicated or could be of inspiration to others are invited to join the Pact and to share with others. This is the idea of building communities for mutual learning. There is support for that so that we can disseminate, share, etc. We organize a number of events for Pact members where we share all of this information and knowledge. And indeed, we had one very recently on validation, only in September. So this is certainly in our focus, as well as we are trying to help members understand better how they can use, for example, skills intelligence tools. Was our last knowledge event only last week, or develop skilling strategies that keep the gender balance, for example. That was in October. So this is only an illustration of the kind of events and mutual learning that can be part of being a Pact member. But beyond that, the whole idea of the Pact is build partnerships to help stakeholders work together. And on this, we put a lot of emphasis on pooling resources and helping the smaller ones, the small organizations, be it an NGO, be it a small and a medium-sized firm, be it another type, a small training or education and training provider, for example, to bring them together with others, be it in the region, be it in their sector, be it in the intersection between those two, and to offer them a platform for cooperation on their specific skills needs and their specific skills actions. Not to take too long, but let me underline this again. Pact, different to other funding initiatives that are based on cooperation, are promoting cooperation, many of them very interesting. Centers of vocational excellence, blueprints, other partnerships for cooperations. Contrary to those, this is very flexible. So the priorities, the activities of what they want to do working together in a partnership are for stakeholders themselves to define. So a small NGO, for example, can team up with others in the region or in regions with similar characteristics, for example, and help define priorities for this concrete action by other stakeholders on up and reskilling.
Excellent. Talking about intersectionality and the support for such complex partnerships that have small and big members at the same time, I think this is one of Avasi's specialty, intersectionality with all sorts of members of his community. And maybe Vasi, you have a question for Miguel as well? Or maybe Knut, if you want to jump in, any of you, if you have some questions.
Yeah, I do have a question for Miguel, and it's thank you for the invitation, and thank you that this time I have the chance to be together with Pact for Skills representative. We are member of Pact for Skills, and I remember the Zoom with Miguel that was really nice and encouraging us to join. Because yes, we are a small NGO. If we compare with large centers from training or VET, we are a small NGO from the northern part of Romania, near to the border with Ukraine. So the challenging here are more, let's say, more interesting than in other parts of the world. But my question to Miguel, it's very simple, and I think it's linked with some other questions coming to the chat. There is evidence that learning on the job it's more effective for needs employment and skills development, but we do not know if the European Commission are planning on the future to support those stages financially, because we are talking about apprenticeship or internship or whatever what are the names of the learning on the job. How we can really come up with a structure, with a program to support constantly the development of these skills. Thank you.
Thanks, Vasi, and thank you for your kind words. It's always a pleasure to have new members join in. And answering your question, well, it goes a little bit beyond the Pact for Skills. As I said, the Pact is this initiative to mobilize stakeholders, to bring them together with a lot of flexibility. It can include definitely in the job training or dual training or apprenticeships, give it the name that we want. And in fact, we are strengthening our links with other initiative, which is EAFA, the European Alliance for Apprenticeships. We are looking into the future how we could maximize synergies with this, because it's definitely at the core of one of the things we want to do, and it's creating this culture of lifelong learning and providing opportunities for this, not only for young people, but also for all the working age population. Regarding funding specifically for this, I cannot say, but let me connect it with the Pact. The Pact, we see it as a key for funding instruments, both at EU level and at national level. Because many of those go in the form that require some kind of consortium or cooperation between among different stakeholders, many times also across borders. And this many times is a barrier, in particular for smaller organizations. They don't know how to get started matching with others, finding reliable partners with which they could trust, they can build something. We understand that the community of Pact members is an ideal place for that. You know that other organizations are already engaged, committed. You know what you can know what they are doing, what they plan to do. You can find good partners for that, and therefore access funding for this. We are particularly now looking at the European Social Fund, which is one of the main instruments for social Europe, and in particular including skills development, with a clear focus on vulnerable people, vulnerable groups, people with specific needs. And there is an unprecedented level of funding available. This is managed mostly at national and regional level, but we are working with the managing authorities so that they become aware of what the Pact can do in this sense of helping stakeholders come together and maybe define projects for up and reskilling that are eligible for ESF funding, for example. So again, the Pact is not in itself a funding instrument, but can be the key to access many other opportunities for funding, including very much in particular for apprenticeships.
Absolutely. Thank you, Miguel. And I think it's very important to underline the fact that we are all here together as members of Pact for Skills coming from different funding opportunities. We have Vasi that is working with Norway Grants. That is a whole ecosystem in itself. Still, Pact for Skills has an amazing added value for that. I myself come from Erasmus, a small cooperation partnerships, but also centers for vocational excellency. And they were the opportunity for the first time in the history of the Erasmus program to have a prison unit coordinate a center of vocational excellency. That happened because also we were supported by Pact for Skills, and we were members with the whole partnership before we ever had the opportunity to submit a Center of Vocational Excellency proposal. So it's not that it triggers, but it supports. It supports a lot. And then we have Knut, and Knut comes exactly from the support of ESF, what you just mentioned. So three different funding approaches, but again, we are equally valuable members in Pact for Skill. What about Knut? Would you like to share a question with Miguel?
Got to switch on my mic. Yes, Miguel, thank you very much for sharing this whole universe of opportunities with us. One thing that came to my mind is that I'm not sure whether I learned this right from your presentation. Many of the projects are projects, so the funding is limited, it is temporarily, whatever. Do you think it would be a good idea to think in like a decade or something? Because projects normally are 2, 3, or a maximum of 5 years, leaving good ideas, good products that are put in the shelf then because there's no extended budgeting. Are there any ideas in the EC, in the Directorate General, on how to cope with this unsatisfactory situation?
Yeah, there is awareness that funding instruments have a limited timeline, and this many times is a challenge. And the participants need to think about the follow up for their projects, because they usually are rich source of ideas, of results for others. I cannot say we have a solution for all those problems, but the Pact can help. And in fact, we keep receiving questions and comments about this. We are working, for example, with some of the COVES projects that are now coming to an end, for example. How can we then work after that? Some blueprints, these projects from the Erasmus Plus, also for stakeholders at EU level to develop skills strategies. And what next then? The Pact can be a platform to keep this cooperation going and to look for other sources of funding, or why not, to also convince stakeholders that they can do their part and have some stable funding for these cooperation arrangements to keep on going, right? So this can be a useful platform for that, to give some continuity for the longer term to existing cooperation arrangement, consortiums, etc., around skills.
Thank you, Miguel. Knut, would you like to share your story with us? Because I think it is also very relevant as an answer to how you sustainably think of the partnerships.
Yeah, thank you. I made a little presentation. It's not going to be slides full of letters or whatever, just a couple of pictures. And you see, workplace orientation is something very important for us in Germany, and a pact for skills is always involving more than one institution or more than one person. This is why it's called a pact. You cannot make a pact by yourself. So we always try to include with basic skills measures here, employers or the world of work, I say. And I want to give you a short presentation, and it's going to be only pictures, no text, about what we do with a company here in Stuttgart. And next slide, please. It's a recycling company, and we're doing basic skills here. And when I say we, it's not us. We are a GO, not an NGO, and we are related to a couple of ministries here. Our aim is to enhance employability of people that are employed and to support employers at the same time. And to start off, I would like to share a hypothesis with you, because companies have a different approach to, I would say, everything that has to do with VET, education in general, language skills, whatever. They do not see themselves as a training institution. They are a company, and that's it. So the hypothesis is they do not buy just brands and services and products. They buy a solution to a problem they have. And next slide, please. The problem a recycling company has, and Carle is an SME, they employ about 75 people here. A problem is that they have fire incidents. And this is what made them think that they have a problem they need to find a solution to. And they found out they have one fire incident per day, which is normally done by a fire extinguisher or some just water from a hose. But they have one big fire incident per month where they have to call the fire service, the fire brigade, and they come, and you see them here extinguishing a typical heap of recycling material. The problem is very often that they have little batteries in devices that had not been removed, and there's a short circuit and a blaze starts. So as soon as they have to call the fire service, there's money involved because they have to pay for that, because it's not just by accident, but it's a commercial company. And there was one key situation, they told us, when they became aware that this is a big problem, because when the fire brigade approached, they tried to communicate with their employees, and they were not able to tell them what to do to extinguish the fire. So they had to do everything by themselves. So explaining by sign language, whoever use this excavator, pull it to this side, pull it to the other side, and so on. So this made them think, okay, we have a problem in the company. And well, what they did is they, next slide, please. They thought about where are the critical incidents in their company that could cause a fire besides this with the batteries. And they found out there's a couple of situations where it is absolutely necessary to be able to communicate in German. Why is it important to point this out? Because they employ people from 16 different nations, and then all of them have a fluent command of German, which enables them to cope with a difficult situation where they have to communicate with emergency services and so on. So a workplace-orientated training was set up. They contacted a training provider, and they set up a list of qualifications that they think are necessary to be able to explain in the German language. And this was the objective for the training provider: enable all the employees to communicate with anybody else, with customers, with emergency services, and among the workforce. There were a couple of other objectives here, like ISO certificates they need. They get re-audited. They are suppliers in a supply chain, so their customers want to see the certificate. And so everybody in the company has, when an auditor appears, to be able to explain what he or she does in the company. So a training plan was set up, and for all these people that did not have enough fluent command of the German language, they set up a training scheme. The thing is, it is partly funded, because I think your first question will be who pays for it. It was partly funded by a federal scheme. So it's the federal government, it's not EU government, it's the federal government, and it's partly funded by the company. By the way, when a company realizes they can solve a problem, money is not an issue in general. It's not that companies wait until somebody appears and says, okay, we have a funding scheme, would you like to make use of this funding scheme, whatever. They always approach training providers when they have a problem to solve. And this is what happened here. Now, from welding, as I said, to last slide, please, to operating in oxygen lands, which needs a lot of expertise, and you have to be aware of many, many safety regulations. You have to be aware of your personal apparatus. You can see this person wears a protective apparel and so on. It is a very complex situation. Now, what they do is they offer these language courses during the working hours. And because money is not the problem, and it is absolutely necessary to bring these people into the position that they can communicate. So it's a must. It's a problem, and this is the solution to it. Now, upskilling by improving, in this case, language skills. Language skills are the key qualification for technical literacy, numeral literacy, and of course communication skills here. And strictly following the workplace needs means, I think Vasi, you mentioned this before, if you can instantly use it. In a workplace-oriented situation, it is highly motivating, and most of all, a nice spin-off, it encourages those employees to participate in other training activities. And so this is a win-win situation for the company. They save money. Let's be honest, it's not an educational institution, it's a company. They have to make money. They save money if they just have one fire brigade less per month. This will save them, well, I think I can tell you the figure, about 8 to 10,000 euro, because this is what the fire brigade will send as an invoice, and this is quite a heavy invoice, and so it becomes interesting. And if you multiply this by 12, you see it's quite a decent sum that buys you not just a car but a little house here. Right, that was my presentation, and I'm eager to hear what you would like to know about how we do it.
Thank you, Knut. This was an excellent practical example to see Pact for Skills supporting an initiative that is linking education and labor market. And before our colleagues Vasi and Miguel think a bit of their question, we do have a super interesting question from David, one of our EPALE platform users, and he's reflectingly challenging us somehow to think, do we consider occupational safety and health as part of the basic skills package? And there is another EPALE user, Anita, that also asked, what do we consider as basic skills and how do we put this together? And I will address this from my point of view and also from EBSN point of view. But I think this is an interesting question for you, especially the one with seeing health and safety as part of every citizen's basic understanding or on how to be an active citizen.
Yes, absolutely. I think I mentioned before that they employ people from 16 nations with 16 different cultural backgrounds, with 16 different professional backgrounds, all with no background at all. So I think it doesn't make too much sense dividing all the skills into personal skills, non-personal, whatever. I think it's a mixture, and this is what the training provider in this case offers. Of course, it's not just personal safety and health. It is when you learn to read or write during, I would say, a scheme that helps you to improve your personal safety and so on. You will use, and this is why we call this a key qualification, you will use your ability to read and to find out about other things in other situations. So it doesn't make much sense making a clear distinction between all these different, I would say, fields of competencies, or how you might call it. We see it in a more comprehensive way.
Absolutely, and I think that's a fair point, that we are talking about competencies that make us competent citizens. If we are competent citizens, then we can be very good and skilled and competent workers. And basic skills is the common denominator. And I extend a challenge to our colleagues and our EBSN members that are also doing research and doing scientific work and experimentation at this level, because in EBSN we have a couple of valuable members related to that, to bring on publicly the discussion of what is the understanding of basic skills and how can we extend it for the active citizen of European Union from the science perspective. But yes, please.
I think one thing we should not forget, I mean, it's not all beautiful. It's not, it's that we faced a couple of challenges, and there were, of course, a couple of lessons learned. For instance, this is a good example, and it really worked well. Some other examples that I did not talk about did not work so well, because one thing we learned from our approach, which we do roughly since 2016, 2017, is that you always need an individual approach to a company because each company has different problems to solve, and there's therefore no golden rule on how to approach and what to offer. So it always has to be a very individual approach, and this makes it, from the training provider's perspective, an expensive one. You should always have a local training provider. This is something we learned as well, because local training providers are always accustomed with what is actually happening in this specific community, and they know how to interact, and they know how on which situations they have to prepare these employees to. And talking about trainers, professionalism of trainers is crucial. Because if you leave the area of just educational institutions, where we all know there are good teachers and bad teachers and so on, it is in a company, there are no bad teachers, because in a company you get sacked, you get fired. So what they buy is a solution to a problem. I'm repeating myself here, but this is really, really crucial. And if you can provide this solution to this specific problem, you're welcome. And money is not a problem. The moment you do not provide a solution, you do not deliver, you're out. This is a lesson we had to learn as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's very important to have these conversations and to have them very clear and very straightforward, so that the message gets sent across. Now, our lovely digital host keeps sending us messages that we are in a bit of a time constraint, because the topic is very interesting, because we have a lot of things to share. It would be Vasi's time to share the story also of his work, and maybe if Miguel and Knut have questions for Miguel and Vasi have questions for Knut, maybe we can write them in the EPALE chat, and then we can also stimulate a bit the conversation there. And then we pass the mic to Vasi to also have the opportunity, because Vasi is going to run away and open up a vernissage of the paintings of his participants in the project and the beneficiaries of Pact for Skill at the end of the day. So
Yes,
Vasi, please do share.
Thank you, Diana, for this opportunity. Thank you to Zsolt also to recommend us from the EBCN, and also to Sarah, because she's behind of these arrangements and studio. As I said, I'm from north part of Romania, a community-based organization, and very much interested on my area development. So as Miguel says, and then Knut confirmed, we are looking for skills to support the development of our local communities, and maybe to address a need, as Knut stressed very much with that. So we have to involve all our stakeholders, not just us as an NGO and social services provider has to be busy with the problem of needs unemployment. Not just us, we have to look for how to find the labor force according with the needs on the labor market. So we are very much aware about how we put these actors together. And for this reason, we are not just member of EBCN. Firstly, we have to say that we are member of EBCN, and then we found out about Pact for Skills, and we become member of Pact for Skills, and we found very interesting their support in order to put all the local stakeholders together. And not in the end, we are member of the EAFA, as Miguel already mentioned, because our model working with needs, it's based on WISE model, work integration social enterprise. Bukovina Institute, it is a social enterprise because we do create jobs for those which although will be out of the market and out of the community. Of course, we cannot create jobs for so many that it's needed. It's a big problem because the number of needs in Romania, unfortunately, increased a lot, significantly on the last years. So we've been lucky to apply for a grant financed by Norwegian grants, youth employment program. So we applied directly to Brussels. and the project support employment platform to apprenticeship learning. We try to implement with 5 key experts on Roma from Spain, Pereclosa. JSBB, they are working with people coming from the prison. Comes, it's a social cooperative, Kispe, from Poland, and Kispe from Greece. They are working with people with mental disability. As Diana says on the beginning, I have this 3 piece of artwork behind of me made by a person with mental disability. But he's completely very good on doing the arts, and he needs special support to make his job. So we are also accredited support services provider for employment, which all this accreditation and all this membership to different professional organizations make sense for us. First, to validate that we are doing good job. Secondly, do not think we are inventing the wheel. I always says we don't invent the wheel. We have to look to local resources and try to implement it, this model. So we have 5 years of a successful cooperation between these 5 European countries, trying to support more than 300 needs. It was on the first round, and then we have another 300, so in total 600 needs with the age between 18 and 29 years old, coming from vulnerable groups to experience learning on the job, validation of competencies, and employment. Please, if you put the next slide. These are the needs that we involve in our project. We discovered a phenomenon that we are not very happy in Romania. A lot of needs are not registered anyway. So they don't exist on the database of job of the labor office. They don't exist in the database of another, let's say, support for employment institutions. So we had to bring them from the rural areas to the light, we said. So we succeed with all our 5 members of the partnership to register and bring for the first time on profiling of these youngsters more than 2,700 needs on the using one platform that we created, but also linked with the national platform. As you can see from this big amount of people, we did the initial evaluation. Of course, the initial evaluation were based on a basic skills, what we consider was very necessary to find learning opportunities from them on the job. We succeed to place about 464 on the learning on the job model using different contracts, because according with Romanian legislation and according with the occupational standards, it's a big difference what it's needed on the job and what we can offer as a vet provider. Because apprenticeship, for example, for level 2, apprenticeship can be also like 1.5 years. I think the youngsters that we are working with, they don't have time to wait 1.5 years, and they are really committed to get a job on the open labor market and not on the black market. But they have to be recognized their value. They have to be recognized and supported. They are a resource for the community. And we try, of course, to focus a lot on those very difficult to employ, affected by poverty, Roma, disabled, refugees, and of course, those long-term unemployed youngsters. If we go to the last slide, I will ask Sarah. We had a different approach to to validate our work. So we had this coach training, because it doesn't was possible all the time to send our coach for Bukovina Institute to the job. We have to create and to support the capacity development of the coaches inside of the employers, which was a challenge. because we work with public institution as a hosting, we work with employers, private sector, but we work also with NGOs, hospitals we have, but not in the end we have individual experts like crafts makers. And it was very important for us to collect their needs, but also their interest on developing skills and support the needs on employment. We organize academies. Mostly of them were on a social entrepreneurship, because this is our expertise, and we know how to say we have enough information and experience to validate the model of social enterprise. And what it was very important for us, and thanks again to Pact for Skills and unit from the EAFA, this networking, this meeting with different stakeholders at European level, and see they do the same, but maybe they call in different way. Maybe they have a different source of financing, but they do exactly the same. Was very good for us to present and see the validation that our model can be used, but also their model can be very easy adapted to our realities. I know the time it's running, so if it's something else, I can answer to the questions. That was my intervention. I want to present a very local model, and of course to say that for us it was very important, this opening to the cooperation at local level, because for sustainable long terms we cannot assume a sustainable results without a pact at local level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vasi. Indeed, we are in a time constraint. The EPALE structure, it is like it is, and it's very good because it keeps us focused. You have to run. So I kindly ask Knut and Miguel if they have particular questions for you to put them in the EPALE chat, because EPALE is providing us this system, and the discussion will be picked up by me as a moderator in the following hours in EPALE, trying to answer and to stimulate the conversation. Thank you for that. And I'm just picking up from your presentation a few keywords that you shared, which also triggered a question from one of our participants. You used to validate, to recognize, to put in value in some form that is recognized by the employer and by the community. And that links us to a comment that one of our participants made. I think it is Andrina that also makes that comment related to the recognition of prior learning. And it would be interesting for Miguel to give us a very short input on how is Pact for Skill supporting recognition of prior learning.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks. Yes, very briefly, aware of the time. But indeed, validation, recognition of prior learning is deeply embedded in the skills policy framework for the European Commission, and we are fully aware of its importance. You may have noticed that I always made reference to skilling actions, up and reskilling, not necessarily training. Of course, training is very important, but there are other ways, there are other instruments, other actions that can also have a very positive impact on the lives of many people. And one of those is validation. And we are fully aware that this should be in the toolbox of stakeholders, and we are promoting this, disseminating the importance of validation, helping stakeholders understand how this can be also embedded in their actions. As again, the Pact is about mobilizing stakeholders to take action, not the Commission, not the public authorities alone, but all of us. And so we need to really get many more people understanding how useful validation can be for many, many people in Europe. I will leave it at there, but I heard that we can continue on writing.
Yes, and I do encourage. Thank you, Miguel. Just to offer two practical examples that I will further detail. We have within the basic skills EBSN network, we have the work done by our colleagues from Progress and other members in micro-credentialing, which is linked to the teacher training. So micro-credentialing is one instrument that leads up to. And then we have the wonderful Observal initiative of the Universitat of Valladolid, my host, my physical host today, which is an observatory of validating professional competencies based and linked, and this is going to be our further work, linked with the European learning model, which again is an initiative coming from DG Employment, linked with the year of skills. The European learning model will offer us the possibility to set up a system within the digital landscape that will offer credibility to whatever certification is issued. That's an interesting thing as well. So please do check. EBSN work with micro-credentialing, Observal, and the European learning model, which are all very interesting instruments. And because our lovely community in EPALE is wonderful and is doing the work for me, I do have a conclusion, which is not my conclusion, but it is one of our members' conclusion related to lifelong learning. And there you go. Elga, I think, put it very well, that we have the opportunity, and this opportunity increases our well-being as active citizens, changing our circumstances. And at the end of the day, it's all about lifelong learning and life-wide learning. With this, I'm extending a big thank you to the support team of EPALE and to my wonderful colleagues and participants. I will pick up the conversation in the EPALE chat, so please do contribute. Good luck, Vasi, with opening the exhibition. Good luck, colleagues, with implementing the daily operations of our wonderful Pact. And I do look forward in the answers and questions of our EPALE members to see what else is on the list. Thank you very much.